My name is Cy Porter, and I'd like to talk to you about the practice of mysticism and art. The practice of making art is very similar to mysticism. Let's get started. I want to go ahead and introduce the technique. Basically, let's use drawing for example. While you're drawing, you can start repeating a mantra. And a good mantra is, my rational mind falls away. So you're drawing a picture. Let's say that you're drawing a picture of a house. And while you're in the activity of drawing the picture, you start saying out loud, my rational mind falls away. And you repeat it, my rational mind falls away. And you continue to repeat it over and over again. And you don't need to pay attention to what you're saying. You don't need to focus on it. You can do it automatically. What you want to focus on is the drawing, like you were before. That's where you want your concentration to be, is on the drawing, which you're doing anyway. So that is a technique of working more mysticism into your art practice. What are we trying to do by doing this? There is the mind and there is the brain. Now the mind essentially is an experience. It is the experience you're having. That is your mind. Now your brain is the physical object that handles your body functions, breathing, eyes focusing, memories. It cues up what it decides the mind should pay attention to. What I'm getting at is the brain is cluttered with information all the time, day and night, awake, asleep. There are billions of information pouring through your brain. It's very noisy. It's a lot of frequencies at once. A lot of forms of mysticism are ways of taking the mind out of that environment, taking the mind to a quiet place that is not affected by all of those channels, is not affected by the memories of what happened to you earlier that day, your thoughts on what you're going to do later that day, the fact that your foot itches, the fact that the wall is blue. All of those take up some of the focus of the mind. And what a mantra does is a mantra starts to clear the mind. It does not clear the brain. And also a lot of forms of art clear the mind. Not the brain. The brain is still just as loud and cluttered and noisy and like Grand Central Station, 4 p.m., as it always has been and always will be. But a lot of forms of art and practices of mysticism seek to remove the brain from that environment. That is, make it so that the focus of the brain is much simpler and less congested. So by repeating a mantra that you're not paying attention to while you're drawing, you're enhancing your experience of your artwork, because by repeating the mantra, it will further push the mind to a very quiet place, a very mystical place, while the functions of the brain still carry on doing what they're doing. You can think of this mantra, my rational mind falls away, as a sort of command that you're giving your brain. You know, it's like your mind is telling your brain, you can continue going on, but I'm going to go off into this other room, and unless anything important comes up, just leave me alone. I'm doing more important things. Basically what mysticism is, practices geared toward bringing you to an altered experience or a higher state of mind. That is mysticism. Practices that seek to give you a direct experience of life that is greater. If you look at an ant, just see an ant walking around, or a bug, and think, what if for a minute, 60 seconds, that ant could have experiences on the level of brain power that we humans take for granted, that ant would be blown away. That ant would be amazed by the ability to have a sense for the entire trajectory of life from birth to death, just as a normal moment-to-moment experience. So we are like that ant, and through mysticism we are trying to gain access to higher forms of experience. And what we have to do is we have to leave those lower, very important but lower functions of brain behind. So it's a practice. It's not a belief system. It's not a religion. It's not theories. If you throw darts, that is a practice. That is not a theory. You go up there, you take the dart, you throw it, you try to improve your target. That is a practice. Mysticism is a practice.